Yeah, I mean, if they're done well, they're very good.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, sometimes I do rather think that sometimes they're seen as a bit of a money spinner, you know. But no, it's very interesting, and you know, I'm always coming across artists that I haven't heard of. I mean, there was an artist the other day that I heard, and I thought, oh, this is really good, must be a new one. Looked it up, she's made 6 albums, and I'm thinking, how have I missed that? You know, so then I go back through the back catalogue, and luckily now you can wiki it and find out about the artist. And I put myself on the naughty step because I felt quite embarrassed that I'd not heard of it. But this is what keeps it interesting. There's a lot of research involved, and it's very time consuming. And so you've got to love what you do. But I do. I love it.
The thing is, if you don't do the research, you lose an audience, don't you?
Well,
because
that's right.
Every listener knows more than you at any rate.
Yeah. Well, and they definitely do. I mean, when you're talking about, I mean, it's slightly different to doing general radio where people are listening for a company and they're not listening that closely to the music. But on a specialist station, they absolutely do know the music, and if you get it wrong, they do tell you. And Andrew, haven't you got this? Haven't you heard that? You know, but it keeps us on our toes.
It's the same with writing books. I mean, I've been invited to do talks at things, aviation societies about books, but I don't do it because you know damn well there's going to be somebody in the audience who wants to catch you out. They know more than you.
That's
they probably do, as you say.
Yeah, that's right.
It's worry, isn't it?
Well, I've never learned now. I mean, I don't know everything. I mean, every day I'm
you can't expect you to, can you?
No, of course not. No, but that's what keeps it fresh. You know, learning new stuff, listening to new tracks. That's why.
So what do you do for a hobby, Andrew?
A hobby? I do play golf.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, not very good, but I do a bit of golf. Go watch a few films, just chill out, like a beer, you know, that sort of thing.
Did you see the Miles Davis film, by the way?
Yes. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah. Did you see the Brian Wilson one as well?
Yes. The Love and Mercy. Love and Mercy.
Yeah.
Great film. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very, very good. Brian Wilson is a genius.
Oh, my hero. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolute genius.
I came close to meeting him at Birmingham, but never quite. You know,
right, okay.
So I was a bit disappointed.
No, I mean, Brian Wilson is just phenomenal. The other guy I'm really fantastic is of course Gregory Porter. I mean, my goodness me, what a talent that guy. You know, he's come on so much.
There's so many out there, isn't there?
Yeah, but you know, this is the exciting thing. It's a bit like being a gardener, isn't it? You know, you plant the stuff in the garden, you put the bulbs in, you put the seed, and then you suddenly see them rising up, and you think, wow.
Yeah.
You know,
I predicted a guy, Mama Bear, something. I can't remember even the name of the artist. We played him, didn't we? On when was it? Set Club. I thought they were going to be very big. It's a guy and his mother. They play really sort of deep soul type stuff. Something and the Mama Bear. I have to look it up before the end of the show and try and remember.
Not sure who you mean there. No.
Oh well, you'll have to go and do a bit of research.
Do a bit of googling. Bob. Go and have a Google. Have a Google.
Do you? I mean, you're obviously you're a very professional broadcaster and obviously a host at a lot of these shows. Now, totally different style, isn't it? Because when you're actually being an announcer or a host, I mean, you see the audience, don't you?
It's very, very important to read the audience. I mean, if you're a DJ, there's a difference between a radio DJ and being a live DJ, because on the radio, you know, you've got all sorts of people, but if you're DJing, you've got to know the audience, because are they into soul, or are they out just there for a night out? So if you're, I mean, this time of the year is typical because people are out for Christmas parties and what have you, and they probably maybe only go out a few times a year, and if you're booked to do a gig and they're not predominantly soul audience, you can't get too much into the heavy soul stuff. You want to play the more commercial stuff that you know they're going to know, like the Michael Jackson, and because there's loads of great commercial soul, you know, Diana Ross, Supremes, all that kind of stuff. You know, if you go and get too smart and play all this obscure stuff, you'll just kill the dance floor, and you'll ruin their evening, and all they'll do is remember you for messing up their evening. But on the other hand, if you're doing a serious soul thing, then you need to know the kind of stuff they're into, because of equally, if you start playing the handbag music, as we call it, then that's going to ruin it for them. But you can normally normally you look at the audience and you play a track and you drop a track and you think, how's this going to go down? And you watch and you think, if you're getting a good reaction, you think, right, okay, well, we can now play this and this and this, but you've got to know the music. And that's the difference between a professional DJ and some guy who just thinks he can just shove a CD in the machine and play it, because anyone can put a CD in a machine, but you've got to put the right track on. And that's why DJs are paid quite a lot of money, because of their knowledge, so they make sure that the music all blends together and it's appropriate, because otherwise you will ruin people's evenings and they will remember you and they won't come again.
You're quite,
you know, they won't come, and actually you don't deserve to have their support.
You won't get booked again either.
Well, that's right, exactly. Yeah.
Do you have a preference to one or the other, or do you just choose to get on well with both of them?
I must say I love radio. I do love radio, because I've done more of that. I mean, I do live DJing, but I don't do as much of that. I do it on an occasional basis. I get guest bookings, that sort of thing. I don't have a regular gig at the moment. Now, that may change, but at the moment, radio is what I'm mainly doing. But I do love being doing the live work, because you get an instant reaction. You know, you can, as long as
the equipment is working.
Yes. Yes.
We had a firework display in Newport Pagnell.
Right.
Obviously around November the 5th and whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I was asked if I would come along and do the announcing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know, so I mean, really, that was almost a sort of, you know, here's a lost child announcement.
Yeah.
Please don't play with your sparklers and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But excuse me, I got there and they got this radio mic, and they said, you can use this all around the site, which I thought that's terrific, you know, because I could go around and talk to people, and I can make a show out of it.
Yeah.
And so of course I walked about 30 yards from the equipment, and I switched the mic on, you know. And it just didn't work. So I ended up actually having to make announcements from inside the tent, where I couldn't see a thing that was going on, because I had to be close to the transmitter thing. It was disastrous.
I mean, a lot of town centres now are booking hosts, which they do have to pay for, but that means they get all the professional equipment, and it does alleviate them. But then, you know, you've got to weigh it up against how much is it going to cost you, you know, because it's not cheap. No. I mean, certainly Into used Heart to do their Christmas light switch on, which they'll have had to have paid for, but then Into are making massive profits. So
that's right. And I mean, again, I think that there is this business about, you know, you've got to pay. Well, it's the old adage, isn't it? You know, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
And obviously in shopping centres and things like that, you know, you've got to have the professional say. You know, you can't have the old boy from Hospital Radio who does a request program. No, God bless him. You know, he does a good thing. But you know, you could just imagine it, can't you? You know, so welcome to the shopping centre here in Milton Keynes.
I've been to plenty of those.
Bob wants to talk.
Yeah, I've got the name
Bob.
Madison Walden and Mama Bear.
Oh,
now they're listed as folk here on Wiki, but I would say they're more soul and blues.
Right, okay.
Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
They came out on TV a bit in the UK last year, about January, I think.
Right.
And I thought they were going to make it be very big.
Right, okay.
And we played a couple of tracks because I predicted, but I was wrong.
Yeah. I must admit, I'm not. They've passed me by.
That's something unusual.
I know.
Not much passes you by, Andrew.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I mean, I would make a suggestion here. Really, is that if they're listed on Wikipedia as folk, then
I'll pass them on to a folk show. Yeah,
there's a clue there.
Is what's his name? Mike Sands? Is it? No, Paul Sands. Is Paul Sands?
Paul Sands. He was on Jazz FM, was he?
Paul wasn't on Jazz FM.
No, he was on Seclo.
Paul was on Seclo. He was then on JFSR, Jazz Funk Soul Radio. He moved to Stomp, and he is now on Cruise FM. And I had the pleasure of meeting him last Sunday because he was on our paddle boat trip. Yes, he was, and looking very well. And it was nice to catch up with him.
Yeah, I keep in touch on Facebook with him.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I don't see him very often, but I mean, he's another soul boy. Loves his music.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah. And
very intense, isn't he? Very intense.
He is very intense. It's probably slightly too much so sometimes, but we love Paul. Paul is Paul, and he's a character.
He went through a very tragic situation, didn't he?
Yes,
when he lost his wife.
Sure. But lovely guy. Yeah.
Right, listen, time is pushing on,
Right.
But, I've got another track lined up, which is track number 4. I don't know whether that's the one you want me to play.
Okay, well, we can
move on to whatever you want.
No, this is fine. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll play a jazz track because one of my favourite jazz vocalists sadly died a few years ago, is Mark Murphy. And not too many people outside of the jazz world have heard of Mark Murphy, but he's was an amazing vocal talent, and did a cover of Oliver Nelson's Stolen Moments, and what I've chosen is the version that's been reworked by a guy called Nicola Conte, who's an Italian arranger, songwriter, and it's put a little bit of a European twist on it. So let's have a listen to this, Mark Murphy.
And this is track number 4, is it?
This is track number 4.
That's
yes,
okay,
and
I just want to make sure.
No.
I played the wrong one. And it's terrible, isn't it?
Here we go.
You wouldn't do that, would you, Mike?
If I told you I love you, pretty baby, would it make up for what they say? If I hold you and shield you, darling, would you linger a while today? If I hold you and hug you, my kiss won't bug you, the gossips won't hurt you, I'll never desert you, and someday we'll find us, the people won't bind us to the hands of time. I can use mother moments, pretty baby. I know where you steal them from. There are so many things I'll teach you, and they call me a useless bomb. They shatter and clatter and patter and natter all the time. Yeah. This way and that way and this way and that way. Oh, try to